You said this would be the last time. The last time you procrastinate. The last time you ruin a good opportunity. The last time you go back to habits that are destroying your confidence. And yet, here you are again, watching your own life from the sidelines while some invisible force keeps pulling you backward. You're not lazy. You're not weak. And the scary part? A lot of highly intelligent people self-sabotage the most. Because the real problem isn't discipline. It's something much deeper happening inside your brain. Something most people never notice. And once you finally see it, your entire life starts making sense. Because self-sabotage is not random. It's protection. And in this video, you'll discover why your brain destroys the very things you want. Why motivation never lasts. The hidden emotional pattern controlling your decisions. And the fastest way to stop sabotaging yourself without relying on more willpower. Welcome to Edumind Project. If you've ever felt trapped inside your own mind, like part of you wants to grow while another part keeps pulling you backward, you're not alone. And by the end of this video, you may finally understand why. Because most self-improvement advice completely misunderstands self-sabotage. People think, just try harder, be more disciplined, wake up earlier, stay consistent. But if willpower alone worked, you would have changed already. The truth is, you don't sabotage yourself because you hate success. You sabotage yourself because your nervous system thinks success is dangerous. And that changes everything. Section 1. Your brain prefers familiar pain over unknown success. Think about this carefully. Why would someone destroy opportunities they prayed for? Why would someone procrastinate on goals they deeply care about? Why would someone avoid the very thing that could improve their life? Because your brain has one primary job, not happiness, not success, survival, and to your nervous system. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar change. That's why people stay in toxic relationships, stay in jobs they hate, stay stuck in habits making them miserable, not because they enjoy suffering, but because the brain confuses familiar with safe. Even if that familiar pattern is destroying you, your nervous system would rather keep you trapped in predictable pain than risk uncertainty. And this is where self-sabotage begins. You tell yourself, I want to change. But deep inside, your brain whispers, change is dangerous. So the moment progress starts happening, anxiety appears. You suddenly procrastinate, overthink, get distracted, lose motivation, create excuses, start doubting yourself. Not because you're lazy, because your brain is trying to protect you from emotional risk. Section 2. The childhood pattern. Most people never notice. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Most self-sabotage patterns didn't start in adulthood. They started years ago, especially if love, attention, validation, or safety felt inconsistent growing up. Maybe you were praised only when you achieved something. Maybe mistakes made you feel ashamed. Maybe emotions were ignored. Maybe you learned that failure equals rejection. So your brain adapted. It created survival patterns. And those patterns may still control you today. For example, if success once brought pressure, your brain may now associate achievement with stress. If visibility once led to criticism, your brain may avoid attention completely. If failure once caused humiliation, your brain may procrastinate to avoid trying at all. Because if you never fully try, you never fully fail. And suddenly self-sabotage starts making sense. It's not stupidity, it's self-protection. The brain says, if we avoid action, we avoid pain. But over time, this protection becomes a prison. Section 3. Why overthinking makes self-sabotage worse. Overthinking feels productive, but most of the time, it's emotional avoidance disguised as intelligence. People who self-sabotage often live inside their heads, analyzing everything, planning everything, waiting for certainty before acting, because thinking feels safer than doing. Action creates vulnerability. Action creates risk. Action forces reality. But overthinking creates the illusion of control. So instead of taking one imperfect step, the brain keeps searching for the perfect moment. And that moment never comes. This is why intelligent people often struggle the most. They can rationalize their fear endlessly. They don't say, "I'm scared." They say, "I'm researching. I'm preparing. I'm waiting for the right time." But deep down, they're avoiding the emotional discomfort of uncertainty. And every day they delay action, their confidence gets weaker. Because confidence doesn't come from thinking. It comes from surviving action. Section 4. The hidden addiction to failure. This next part sounds strange, but it's real. Some people become emotionally addicted to failure. Not consciously, but subconsciously. Because failure becomes part of identity. I'm the person who never finishes. I always ruin things. I can't stay consistent. Good things never last for me. Over time, the brain starts protecting that identity. Why? Because identities feel stable. And humans fight to protect what feels familiar, even if it hurts. That's why sudden success can feel emotionally uncomfortable. It conflicts with the old story you've believed about yourself for years. So what happens? You unconsciously return to behaviors matching your identity. This is why people sabotage healthy relationships, quit good opportunities, relapse into destructive habits, abandon goals right before success. Not because success is impossible, because success feels unfamiliar to the nervous system. And unfamiliarity triggers fear. Section 5. Why motivation never saves you. Most people wait to feel motivated. That's the trap. Motivation is emotional weather. It changes constantly. If your entire life depends on motivation, you'll only move when emotions feel comfortable. And growth is rarely comfortable. Real change happens when your nervous system learns, "I can survive discomfort," not, "I must feel inspired first." This is why small actions matter more than intense motivation. Tiny repeated actions slowly teach the brain, "This is safe now." That's how transformation actually works. Not through dramatic overnight change, but through repeated evidence. Every small promise you keep to yourself rebuilds trust inside your brain, and self-trust changes everything. Section 6. The fastest way to stop self-sabotaging. So how do you actually stop? Not through shame, not through self-hatred, and not through forcing yourself into exhaustion. You stop self-sabotage by making your nervous system feel safe enough to change. That means smaller goals, less perfectionism, less emotional punishment, more consistency, more self-awareness. Because every time you attack yourself for struggling, your brain feels even more unsafe. And unsafe brains do not grow. They protect. That's why harsh self-criticism usually creates more procrastination, not less. Your brain interprets failure as danger. So instead of helping yourself improve, you accidentally strengthen avoidance. The solution is not becoming harder on yourself. The solution is becoming psychologically safer for yourself. And that may be the lesson nobody ever taught you. But this is only the beginning. Because there's another reason self-sabotage keeps controlling your life. And it's hidden in the habits you repeat every single day without noticing. In Part 2, we'll uncover why your identity secretly controls your future, how dopamine traps keep you stuck, why healing is uncomfortable at first, and the practical system to finally break the cycle for good. Because once you understand this, you stop seeing yourself as broken and start realizing your brain was simply trying to protect you the wrong way. Part 2. Have you ever noticed, right when life starts improving, you suddenly lose momentum, you procrastinate again, disappear again, return to old habits again? It's like your brain pulls you backward the moment things begin changing. And the worst part? You know exactly what you should do, but somehow, you still don't do it. That's because self-sabotage is rarely about knowledge. It's about identity. And until your identity changes, your habits will keep rebuilding the same life. Welcome back to Edumind Project. In Part 1, we uncovered the hidden truth behind self-sabotage. Your brain isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you from emotional discomfort. But now we need to go deeper. Because understanding the problem is one thing, escaping the cycle is another. And most people never escape because they focus only on behavior, while ignoring identity. Section 1. Your identity creates your limits. Your brain constantly asks one question: who am I? And once that identity forms, your behaviors start matching it automatically. If you believe I'm inconsistent, your brain notices evidence supporting that story. If you believe I always fail, your mind unconsciously creates behaviors proving it true. Because humans crave psychological consistency. Even painful consistency feels safer than uncertainty. This means you do not rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. And this explains why temporary motivation never lasts. You can force behavior briefly, but eventually, identity pulls you back. That's why real transformation starts internally first. Not fake positivity, not pretending everything is okay, but consciously changing the story you repeat about yourself every day. Section 2. The dopamine trap keeping you stuck. Modern life is perfectly designed for self-sabotage. Your brain is constantly flooded with instant dopamine, endless scrolling, short-form content, notifications, junk food, distractions, quick entertainment. And over time, your brain adapts. Slow progress begins feeling boring. Deep work feels painful. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Your nervous system becomes addicted to stimulation. And when it's time to pursue meaningful goals, your brain chooses immediate comfort instead. Not because you lack ambition, because your reward system has been trained to avoid discomfort. This is why people sabotage long-term success for short-term relief. The brain prioritizes what feels good now over what matters later. And if you don't consciously retrain your attention, modern distractions will quietly consume your life. Section 3. Why healing feels worse before it feels better. This is something nobody talks about enough. Healing often feels uncomfortable at first, because dysfunction can become emotionally familiar. Chaos becomes normal. Stress becomes normal. Overthinking becomes normal. So when peace finally appears, the brain becomes suspicious. Some people literally feel anxious when life gets calm, because calmness feels unfamiliar. And unfamiliarity triggers survival responses. This is why people return to toxic habits even after escaping them, not because they enjoy suffering, but because suffering feels predictable. Your nervous system would rather choose familiar pain than uncertain peace, unless you consciously retrain it. Section 4. The power of small promises. Most people try changing their lives through extreme intensity. That usually fails. Why? Because the brain doesn't trust sudden transformation. Real confidence grows through evidence, and evidence comes from small, repeated promises kept consistently, not giant emotional speeches, not motivation videos. Tiny promises. Read 1 page. Walk 5 minutes. Work 10 focused minutes. Sleep slightly earlier. Show up imperfectly. Every time you keep a small promise, your brain slowly updates its identity. I am someone who follows through. That's how self-trust is rebuilt. Quietly, repeatedly, daily. And eventually, your nervous system stops fearing growth. Because growth no longer feels dangerous. It feels normal. Section 5. Stop waiting to feel ready. This may be the biggest lie destroying people's lives. I'll start when I feel ready. You will almost never feel fully ready. The brain wants certainty before action. But certainty comes after action, not before it. Confidence is built through movement, not preparation alone. The people you admire, they were scared too. They simply acted while uncomfortable. And every time they survived discomfort, their brain learned, this is safe. That's how courage is built. Not through eliminating fear, but through moving despite it. Section 6. Your new life requires a new self-image. If you keep seeing yourself as broken, your behaviors will continue matching that identity. You cannot heal while constantly repeating, there's something wrong with me, because your brain believes the stories you repeat most often. And eventually, those stories become reality. This doesn't mean ignoring your flaws. It means stopping the cycle of psychological self-attack. You are not doomed because you struggle. You are human. And many of your destructive patterns were learned long before you understood what was happening. But learned patterns can be changed. Slowly, patiently, repeatedly. That's how transformation happens in real life. Not instantly, but gradually. Until one day, you realize the version of you that once self-sabotaged everything no longer exists. The real reason you keep self-sabotaging was never lack of willpower. It was fear, conditioning, emotional survival, and a nervous system trying to protect you the wrong way. But now you see the pattern. And once you see the pattern, you stop being controlled by it. So the next time you feel yourself procrastinating, avoiding, overthinking, don't immediately ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask, "What is my brain trying to protect me from?" That single question can change your life. Because awareness is the beginning of freedom. And maybe for the first time, you'll stop fighting yourself and finally start understanding yourself instead. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below with the word awake and subscribe to Edumind Project for more psychology and mental clarity videos that help you understand the hidden patterns controlling modern life.